Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Today I want to share some interesting news, so interesting that I honestly don't know what to make of it. I have been talking for several vlogs about the polls, how they are consistently showing Trump losing to Biden, in some cases getting, you'd have to say, trounced by Joe Biden. I have also talked about something called the 13 Keys to the White House, a methodology for predicting presidential elections created by professor of political history, Alan Lichtman, that has a track record of 100% since 1982 when he started using the methodology. 100% successful track record of accurately predicting the winner of the presidential election. That today seems to be showing Trump losing to Biden also. And then I mentioned the betting sites. The average spread on the betting sites had been favoring Trump since March, but the last few days it has shifted suddenly to favoring Biden. So everything seems to be favoring Biden, but then I get news that seems to contradict everything that I've been talking about. As I said, I am really puzzled, but I guess that's the way it goes with Donald Trump. He is the most unusual president we've ever had, most unusual presidential candidate we've ever had. So maybe the rules that have applied to every other president and presidential candidate, well, number one, Trump is the first president who is not a politician, has no political experience, no military experience. So he is unusual in those two respects alone. So as I was starting to say, maybe the old rules, the rules that have applied to all previous candidates and presidents, don't apply to Trump. So let me just share this story with you, and I'm going to give you a number, but let me start with the story. Here is the headline. Democrats scramble to win over more black men. Some Democrats are sounding alarms within the party about its outreach to younger black men, saying it was not doing enough to appeal to these voters even before a nationwide wave of protests amplified the discontent many black Americans feel toward their political leaders. Presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's support is much weaker among black men, particularly young people, than black women, according to WSJ-NBC, at WSJ is Wall Street Journal, WSJ-NBC News polling, which was conducted before the protests, but partly during the coronavirus pandemic that has disproportionately affected black families. Democrats are focused on slim percentages of black voters, and it is too soon to tell how voters will respond to protests spurred by the killing of George Floyd while in police custody in Minneapolis. Internal surveys conducted by several Democratic allied groups found that some black men are attracted to what they describe as Mr. Trump's tell-it-like-it-is demeanor and the notion that Mr. Trump's wealth and personal success could benefit the country. They also said younger black men are more likely to feel alienated from both parties. That is really surprising to me because the black vote is a given. It's just something that both Democrats and Republicans assume that the Democrats have pretty much sewn up. Trump got 8% of the black vote in 2016. In 2012, Mitt Romney got only half of that, about 4% of the black vote. And now we have this article about Democrats being concerned about attracting enough black votes, or at least black men, black male voters, to get Biden elected. It is really surprising to me, nothing that I would expect, except there were some earlier indications. I want to remind all of you about an earlier vlog I did showing a couple of polls showing Trump's approval rating, and that was surprising in itself. 3 polls that I talked about before that had Trump's approval among black voters over 30%. Two of them were about 35%, which is really amazing for a Republican president. As I said at the time, if that number, 30% plus approval among black voters, if that turned out to be only half true, 15%, 17%, maybe 20% in the November election, Trump would win easily, number one. Number two, it would be the end of the Democratic Party, or at least their ability to win at the presidential level, if that kind of approval held going forward after Trump, who will either be leaving in January or 4 years from January. But what I want to share today is another poll, and this one is even more stunning to me than the ones I talked about then. Overall likely voter job approval of the President of the United States of POTUS, 48%, but overall black likely voter approval of 41%. Overall black likely voter approval of 41%. What is especially significant about this poll, aside from 41%, that number being so high, but that it is a poll of likely voters, not all black adults, not all black registered voters, but black likely voters. Black voters with a history of voting in past elections and giving strong indication of voting in the next election, 41% approval. As I said about those earlier polls, if this number, 41%, if that is even just half accurate, that is very significant. So significant that I think the significance is obvious. I really don't have to say anything, so I'll just leave you with that number to think about it, draw your own conclusions. And while you're doing that, if you could give me a thumbs up if you like this video, that would really be great. There's a comment section below the video if you want to give any comments you might have, questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. But most of all, come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.
China's lies spread the China virus across the world, putting the health and jobs of the American people at risk. We need strong, decisive leadership to get through this crisis. Joe Biden fails the test. Biden doesn't know what day it is. He doesn't even know what office he's running for.
Tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. Make sure you have the record player on at night.
So clueless, Biden called the China travel ban xenophobic, and he wants to exploit this crisis to pass the Green New Deal, putting more American jobs at risk.
We're going to have an opportunity, I believe, in the next round here to use my green economy, my Green Deal.
Joe Biden, weak on China, too confused to lead. The Republican Majority Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.